Well, it's another day here on the World of Art, right on your darling station, Ogtv. This is where we bring you visual artists, and together we take you through the various branches of visual art and how it affects our everyday lives. My name is Miriam Usman. This program is brought to you by Prince Yemisi Shilon, legal practitioner, Africa's largest private art collector, grand donor and chairman of Council Yemisi Shilon Museum of Art, Grand Patron, SNA Ogun State Chapter. The program will be back after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. It's the World of Art on Ogtv. Like I said before, this is where we bring you different types of visual artists and we take you through the visual art and how it affects our everyday lives. But I'm being joined by another visual artist on the program today. He's a studio art entrepreneur. So yes, we're going to take you through a lot this evening, and I just want to say, tighten your seatbelt. It's going to be an amazing time. I'm being joined by Olatayo Ajay on the program today. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good evening, viewers.
It's absolutely a pleasure to have you and your beautiful works. I mean, we had to see some of them on the video and it was quite amazing.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's get started. Before we go into details about what you do, tell us, how did this start for you? What's the journey like?
Well, the journey has been wonderful. I'm grateful that I had encouragement early in life. Every child is born an artist. It's just that...
Why do you always say that?
Well, every child is... That's a fact. It's a scientific fact, yes.
Okay.
Everyone is born an artist. So we first learn to think visually and to act on our visual instincts. You know, those are one of the earliest instincts for the human being in life. But it's just that few of us retain those instincts and develop them. And sometimes we develop them because we had the good fortune to have people who encouraged us. So I was lucky to have the kind of parents that encouraged me, the kind of teachers that encouraged me to retain those instincts and develop as an artist. So it's been favorable to me in that wise. Yes, I would say, yes.
Well, I think it's also a good thing that we have your work on the program today.
Okay.
And it's something to say that those who invested in you did not waste their resources or time. I mean, you can see your pictures and...
it's very kind of you.
Yeah. Now, tell us about what you do. We have your pictures all over, your artworks. Take us through the basis of what you do.
Okay, basically, I'm a studio artist, professional studio artist in the last 8 years. That's not a very easy thing to do as a profession, despite your love and passion and whatever talent you have in the business. You have to also have some basis because in this our environment, in our society, we don't have a large support base for the arts. Therefore, in the earlier part of my career, I worked in different sectors of the art. I worked as a curator, I've worked as in the print and publishing sector, I've worked in the advertising sector, and I've done a bit of teaching. So
all centered around art?
Yes, all within the arts, yes. Because arts is so wide, it has so many branches and so many applications. So I was able to use my skills and knowledge to impact on various areas, you know. So it's been, you wouldn't say it's all been smooth sailing, but it has allowed me to express myself. I worked in advertising for quite many years, and then later on I decided to become a full-time professional studio artist.
So when you talk about you don't have the full support in this industry, what really are you referring to? What kind of support?
Worldwide, the arts really needs support and sponsorships for it to survive and thrive properly. Traditionally in Africa, that used to be done by the royal, you know, the kings, you know, the governments basically. Somewhere, we also started that way in Nigeria after independence, but somewhere along the line, probably due to the economy and so on, support for the arts has waned and gone down. If you remember, we had Festac in 1977, was such a big festival. It's still being talked about in other parts of the world today, but the kind of support and energy and finance we put into the arts at that time, we seem not to be doing that at the level of government anymore. That's been done more by private entrepreneurs, and we don't have enough of that yet.
All right, we'll go on this short break. Please stay with us. The program continues after this break. Welcome back. We had to go on that break. We apologize for the break in transmission. You are still watching World of Art on Ogtv. And yes, I still have my guest on the program today, Olutayo Ajay. Now, I needed us to talk about the support you clamor for in your career, so people watching can take notes and know where to adjust to make this particular industry, the career path, still growing. Because I do believe that when more of this is spoken about in the society, there would be a change, which is why this program is one of the ways we want to reach out to the society in the embrace of art. Now, we have your work, and I really want you to take us through what you have here. First, we are going to start with your mode of expression. Right. The works we see here, you have different modes of expression. At least I know the realism, the hyperrealism, yes, the cubism, and I kind of see some of them here. So take us through your works and your mode of expression.
Well, over the years, I've developed a number of unique styles, probably 2 or 3 that are quite distinct. Sometimes, pretty much all my work, I use mixed media. So I don't concentrate on just one method of, one technique. I mix them, and mixed media work, I use different materials to compose, to make elements of a picture and to compose. And there is a theme behind that, or there is a philosophy behind that. Because we live in a very fractured world today, there's a lot of disruption everywhere. And especially culturally for us Africans. So by taking pieces and elements, color, shapes, objects, and piecing them together in one composition, what I try to do is to reconstruct in terms of making a picture that has balance, that has harmony, that has something that we can all reflect upon, and it begins to make sense to us as the society. As you know, of course, art is a reflection of society. It's something that we look on, we gain inspiration from, and so on. So I in the past, I've also, I work and I still work on, I have a special technique in which I use ink, and ink, I use it in a different way by just dripping it. So it becomes solidified, and it forms thick lines, or the lines are varying in thickness, and I use that to make drawings and pictures and images on the canvas.
That would be like something we have behind you here?
That's correct. Then there are other styles in which I also use beads, textiles, metal, pieces of electronics, wires, and paper, cardboard, things that are generally found all around. So,
okay, I think we have a caller. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
David. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Could you come again?
And I appreciate all the work. This is Akinto Babatunde.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling. Did you get that?
Thank you. I didn't get the name though.
Yeah, I think it's one of your
But
friends.
he mentioned my primary school, so he must be somebody who is quite familiar with me. Yes, I thank God for that. I did mention that I had the kind of encouragement at an early stage, and that's critical for artists out there, for parents who are listening, for those who want to go into the arts, to know that indeed every child is born an artist, but not all of them are going to retain it. I had, he mentioned a school there, Corona School, and I had the kind of teachers, right from the headmistress to the class teachers, they singled me out and pushed me through. So I do give them kudos, and I'm quite thankful that that happened for me. Yes.
During your time,
Yes.
how much of art students did you have then?
How much of?
Art students, young people, do you have like people who had the same energy and had the
Yes.
same strength to push like you did?
Well, we weren't too many, because at that time, a lot of parents put pressure on their children not to do art.
They wanted them to be doctors,
Yes, they
nurses.
wanted them to be so many other things, but not artists. And there was a lot of discouragement too, from a lot of other people who would say, no, don't do art. You have the intelligence, you have the skills to do so many other things, Why do you want to do art? Don't do it. But I thank God that all the way there was always somebody, that would pull me out and say, oh no, you should be doing art, I can mention names, Professor Wangboje, late Professor Wangboje, and at the Center for Black African Arts and Civilization, where I once worked too, there was Mr. Z.S. Ali, late Mr. Ali, and so on, who pushed me through. Thank you.
Oh, that's quite an interesting one. So before now, we were talking about your mode of expression, your medium, and you made mention of the mixed media, where you use different materials as a sign of representation of our society. Now we have some of your work displayed on the screen.
Right.
And this would lead me to asking this next question. Why is it important for an artist to have a particular mode of expression in what they do, especially for people who are into your kind of work?
Yes, because the mode of expression also forms an identity. Art is an expression of the innermost feelings, the ideas, the thoughts of that artist, and it's unique to that person. It's unique. Those things he's expressing or she's expressing, they are also taken from the society. They are from the culture. So it forms a very unique imprint that is original and you cannot find it anywhere else. So it's important that over time, whether you want to or not, you are going to develop a particular style that is going to be unique to you. And so when they see that work, they'll say, oh, it's this person that did that work. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to draw your attention to this particular work.
Okay.
I've seen it countless times where people had to express themselves, like you said.
Right.
And it's not like the typical artwork. It's not like the typical painting we know and all of that, because there's this representation of big eyeballs, circles, you know, and one could just imagine what's the message behind such illustration. So I want to ask now, because you've had to bring your work here and we're seeing it. Right. Why that mode of expression?
Yes, that mode of expression where you use a lot of geometric shapes and so on, it's really taken from, it's an original art form from Africa. Originally, you know, the modern art called it cubism.
Exactly, look at that.
Yes.
You see the eyes.
Right, they call that cubism, and I mix a bit of abstract expressionism into it. The way I use it is in the way that it's uniquely African. It's an African art form. It's expressed in my own unique way too. It's not going to be the same with everybody. In Africa, you have a lot of emphasis on the head. And that's why you see things like the eye. In African art, you have a lot of emphasis is placed on the head. It's a very important part, you know, spiritually and thematically to any work. So you have a lot of emphasis on what the eyes are doing, the nose, the mouth, all these convey stories.
We have Ade from London. Ade, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes.
I want to ask you, okay, is it possible for you to let us have an idea of the price of those ones you made? Is it possible?
Did you get that?
He said something about
Could you come again with the question?
The prices of those that is displayed in the outward side, all that price, is it possible for you to tell us?
Is it possible for him to send the work from Nigeria?
No. Tell us the price is the price.
The prizes. All right, thank you so much, Ade, for calling. Let me quickly remind our viewers that you can also send us messages via our social media handles, and be rest assured that we will take your questions as much as we are on the program today. And I know that it's not in your culture to discuss the amount you put to artworks.
Yes, in as much as we appreciate, you know, the fact that people are interested in the prices, but that's done more privately. You know, it's not really on for us to put up the art prices.
Okay, so there you have it, Ade. I mean, definitely there are prizes, but it's not.
Yes, but I'll definitely reach out to him.
All right, so you were taking us through the mode of expression and the relation to what African sees.
Yes. So the mode of expression is uniquely African. It's a style I developed. Took a long while for me to develop those styles, you know, and those styles are an expression of my innermost thoughts, ideas, you know, and feelings, as well as the observations from what's going on around us, you know. So that's the reason why those are put out in that particular way. Now, for the person who is enjoying the art, who is, you know, consuming the art, it will strike certain chords too, you know, because art is also a form of communication. It's a reflection also of our values and culture. And that is when that chord is struck, then that's when you begin to see that there is a connection somewhere between the art buyer and the you know, the artist.
I like the fact that you are carrying Africa along in all of your works. I mean, look at the one displayed on the screen. Still talking about, that's an African woman, no doubt.
Yes.
And then we have that particular one. There's like traces of Ankara in it.
Yes.
And I think that's where you refer to the mixed media.
That's correct.
Part of it. Now, let's talk about commercializing artworks. You know, you're a studio art entrepreneur. You don't just do this for your pleasure. You don't just do it because you want to pass messages across.
Yes.
You make a living from it.
That's correct.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yes, I make a living from it. I'm thankful that I've been able to make a living from art throughout my life. I've not worked in a different industry or worked as a different professional. And that's I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate to, because a lot of people, we also went to school together, art school together, ended up working in different professions. It's not been easy because you have to keep at it. Just as in anything in life, if you are going to do it, you must be very intentional and you must keep at it, no matter what is going on. So art still needs a lot of support, and we thank God and we are very grateful. I'm very grateful for foundations like Prince Yemisi Shillons, who is sponsoring this program. Art needs a lot of support from individuals, from society, and so on, because we don't have enough of it here yet. But we are not doing too badly either.
Interesting. Now, we're gradually coming to the end of the program today. You know, on the program, we try to gather as much as we can, and that includes the audience for upcoming artists, student artists, practicing artists, and even the society at large now.
Right.
I want you to send a message across to every one of them watching, and something to get from you, Ajay, on the program today.
Right. Art is a great profession. And we even have a collective society, like the Society of Nigerian Art. There are many bodies that can encourage, you know, a young or upcoming or intending artist. Art is so all-encompassing. Even the practice keeps your body, mind, and soul together. It's physically, you are working, you are exercised, mentally you are exercised. So art is a very important, at my age, thank God, I've been able to sustain my family through art. My children have, you know, some have graduated too, and I've not done a different job. So it's a sustainable profession, and you can do it, even if you are not practicing as a studio artist. There are so many applications in which art is very important and needed. So I hope that people will be able to, you know, do more, do not feel discouraged or feel that there are not enough people there. There are so many people. Some work in offices, some you don't see them, and some you see them outside, you know. So art is very, very important and a good profession for anyone to, you know, go into.
All right. I wanted us to talk about Abeokuta before
Right.
leaving. Yeah. Very brief.
Very quickly, I'm going to talk on that. Yes, that's so interesting. You know, because the issue of, sometimes art goes around issues. Now, the issues of our language, our identity, our culture as Africans. If you go to other cultures in the world, like in Russia, in the Slavic countries, you see the way they write. They have their own unique writing styles. If you go to Hebrew, they have the way they are writing their alphabet letters. China, you go to Korea, you go to Greek, they have different. So what's happened to the African ones? And that's what Abeokuta sets to come back and, you know, draw attention to. That we have our own unique writing and alphabets. And though today what is common is the Greco-Roman alphabets we are using. But Abeokuta is an answer to that, because Africans also have the capacity to make art and writing and art are unique attributes of human civilizations, of which Africa is also one.
I mean, I'd want you to take us through more of it because it looks deep.
Yes.
We have to wrap up on the program for this week, and I trust you've enjoyed, you know, every part of it. Now, while we leave on the program, I would like you to say something to your co-SNA members and even the sponsor of the program.
I want to thank Prince Yemisi Shilon, Omoba Yemisi Shilon, for this great initiative. I want to thank my president and the entire EXCO of the Society of Nigerian Arts Ogun State chapter for all they do. They've been so wonderful, they've been so hardworking, they're full of initiatives. For putting this program together, I want to thank Ogtv, our hosts, the crew in the studio, and of course, our well-known Miriam Usman. Well done.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
This is how far we can go this week on Word of Art. Trust you've been able to gather one or two things for yourself. There's nothing else we cannot do on this program than to preach art. And if you're a lover of art, if you see what we see, please keep watching World of Art on Ogtv. This program is brought to you by Prince Yemisi Shilon, legal practitioner, Africa's largest private art collector, grand donor and chairman of Council Yemisi Shilon Museum of Art, and grand patron, SNA Ogun State Chapter. My name is Miriam Usman. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.